my shop's pretty well destroyed again. That's what happens. You know, that's what happens when I work anyway. I have rolled this rig forward past that post right there, so I might be able to kind of get it all in frame. You can see a little progress here. I have the body mounted, I have the fenders mounted, and I shot a string down through there and lined up the crease and that body crease in the fenders, so that lines up. If you look at it from the back to the front or whatever, those body lines line up, and that was a chore. And to split those fenders and suck them in closer to the tire was another chore, because of dealing with not only the taper of that body, because it's pinched 22 inches in front and only 16 in the back, makes those fins flare out to the outside a little bit, which is what I wanted. But that creates a taper all the way back that has to be allowed for when you're cutting the fender, plus the compound curves on the fender and the roll on the body, and then there's a wider spot where that fender flares out, and just on and on. And I tell you what, it was a chore. It was a chore. And to get those little body lines down there, where are they at? Those little buggers, get those level. And the front ones are level, and they're not exactly at the same height, but they're level. And that's just how it worked out. And those fenders, as you can see, are flipped around in order to fill the wheel well on that old Cadillac body. And that little stainless steel panel there is just kind of mocked up, and then I'll have to build a pie-shaped piece to go in and fill in between the fender and the body. But anyway, the body's mounted, fenders are mounted, and those fenders, as I mentioned before, they're just like setting the camber and caster and toe in on every corner of this thing. And so after battling and setting them up and propping them up and have them fall over and split them and have them to figure out the angles and the dangles and the curves and all that, and cut out around that little piece in the body there that flares out and holds the tail light. And I got the little gap there between the fender and the body all the way down, and I kind of like that. But anyway, and I think it was my son that I told, after dealing with these fenders and the angles and the compound curves and the trimming and the fitting and all that, that I could probably by now execute the yaw maneuver while adjusting pitch and roll. And I think I'm capable of docking the shuttle with the International Space Station at this point. So if you ever fly the shuttle again, I'm your man. Alright, let's take a look back and see how all this came to be. Well, back to the drawing board. All that work that took all week to do, come out yesterday morning, looked at it with a new perspective, and tore it all apart, starting over. I couldn't handle that nose sticking up in the air, and the more and more I looked at it, I couldn't handle this big gaping hole here. You know, it looks like dualies with the outside dual missing. Well, it's a warm one today. Supposed to be 109 by 3 o'clock. Okay, I ripped this thing completely apart, ripped that center piece out of there, and what it did was shorten those frame horns a little bit on the front. Took another ½ inch off of those, and that allowed me to slide that center piece back, and of course now I'm happy with that. Well, I've been working on this thing all day. It's 10 o'clock. At 9 o'clock it was still 90 degrees. It's supposed to get down, it's supposed to cool off tonight. It's supposed to get down to 80. And we got a fire going, of course. It's pretty serious. pickup bed, which is the tailgate of the old pickup bed. Says Chevrolet right down in there. How about that? I'm going to make that fit really nice and close all the way around, and then I can tack the body to that, weld this to the tailgate. I'm sore. I've been up and down, off this concrete, up and down, on the concrete, off the concrete, on my feet, on my knees, all day long. I feel like I've been to the gym all day. I got to get under there and pull that stainless steel panel out of the way. I got to take that off. I just had it kind of mocked up there. Took enough of it off that when this thing is pushed up close to the cab where it's going to sit, it will clear the tire, but I just want to get it out of the way for right now. And took that other piece off that was covering that pink. And as you saw earlier, I used the tailgate from the donor pickup to make the front part of my pickup bed here. I'm going to spray this whole compartment when I get it all cleaned up and trimmed up. I got some rough cuts and stuff down there to take care of, but anyway, I'm going to spray that all down with bed liner. I was concerned about that tailgate because when I started working with it this morning, I discovered it was bent. You know how they get bowed out sometimes on those old Chevys. And I started to straighten it out at one point. I was kind of contemplating how I might go about straightening it. And I'm really glad I didn't because now it matches the curve on the back of the cab of the truck, or it will when it sits down in there. It's going to be pretty close anyway. Better than it would if it were just straight. So that worked out good. I'll need to shut up and get busy. It's a rough fit. Got to make some adjustments. I'm going to cut the back of my wheel opening out a little bit more so that I can close that gap between the cab and the body. Well, an executive incision has been made. I have to take this front panel out and scoot it back about a ½ inch, so that this edge will hug the cab up here, because right now it's sitting back. It's sitting back just far enough that it's kind of ugly. So I'm going to have to knock all those welds loose and set it back a little bit and redo it, because that's what I do. I do it, and I tear it all apart and redo it. Oh well, part of the process. Okay, as you can see by the old rat pink on the wall there, it is now midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. The rat rod shop of Good and Evil? I don't know. This thing's pretty evil looking. Let's see, little update. The body is mounted. I mean, temporarily mounted, but it's solid on there. I will have to build the final supports. Right now I've got it tack welded in a few places, but it's on there. And I've got, let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, it's got some supports to hold the back end in place there. I'm about to show you my latest accomplishment, if I can get back here and get this thing in frame. That rear fender is finally mocked up there, and It has been trimmed. I took a portion off of that, as you can see there. That's the piece that came off the inside. Oh, it was a challenge. Let me tell you, it was a booger. But it turned out pretty good. Now it's just mocked up there. I will have to build the supports, but I'm tired and I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and get it temporarily mounted, tacked up, and then I'll build some nice fender supports so that there's no wobble or wiggle or rattle or shake. And I hope to get the other, I hope it's cool enough tomorrow to work out here. I want to get the other fender set up as well, but I have to say I'm pleased with how this came out. It was a challenge. Oh, was it a challenge. But I'm getting there. I may take just a little bit more. I don't mind that little gap there. I kind of like that actually, because it's so true all the way through. And so I may go ahead and trim this out a little bit more here. It's really not necessary, but I just kind of want to follow that line, that little gap that I have there, and make it even all the way around. And another thing that I had shown before in a video is how that shape of that fender follows the inside, the shape of the inside of that fender follows the contour of the back of the cab right behind the door handle there. So I think it's kind of cool how that worked out. And I got my string strung so I could line up those body lines in the fender, but I'm pleased with it. That's kind of what I was going for. There's a little stainless steel panel here that that'll be cut, and that fits up behind the fender, and it comes down to just about to the bottom of that fender skirt there. So, and then there'll be a big chrome bumper on there, and I just stuck that little chrome piece on there for now, just to get a look at it. And it's kind of cool looking. It's not very shiny. I don't know if it's going to show up in this video. It has to be polished up, but anyway, when we look at this side, you'll see why the fenders have to go in there backwards, because they have to cover that huge gaposis right there, and that's just the way it is. But I'm okay with it. I like them backwards. I would have probably turned them backwards anyway, even if I didn't need to cover that hole, because I tried them the other way, and believe it or not, they just didn't look right. So that's the look I was going for, and I got it. I think I'm going to shut up about this now, because I've still got a long ways to go. Oh, that was a bugger getting that fender cut out, getting it to fit like that. So now I have to replicate that on the other side. But at least now I have some patterns to go by. I can take these portions that I've trimmed off and mark the other fender and cut it so that it's the same as this one, or the same, only opposite. Okay, I'm tired. You guys can probably tell I'm probably not making much sense. So I'm gonna go get some rest and hit it again tomorrow. And I really appreciate all of you going on this journey with me. Thanks for watching. See you soon.